Hello, and welcome to Let Me Look That Up, the show where we use the internet to try to answer life's trivial questions. I'm Tristan, and I'll be your host on today's episode.
I'm Giovanni, and boy, oh boy, do I have some fun things for us to talk about today.
And I'm Justin. I'm here to pretend that I don't need the internet to be smarter than you.
We've all been there. You're hanging out with a couple of friends, and suddenly that random question pops up. Like, do I have cancer if my hands smell like peanut butter?
That's when somebody pulls out their phone to see if they can find an answer.
That's what this show's all about. Just a couple of friends trying to find answers to life's mysteries.
Finally, a friendly reminder. The three of us are at best hobbyists who are mostly relying on random stuff we find on the internet. Like, I'm sure you've read William Shakespeare's BuzzFeed article, 10 Reasons Why You Can Believe Everything You Read on the Internet. Giovanni, today you have the scoop on olives for us.
Sure do.
Want to tell us more?
Yeah, so the other day I was eating a slice of pizza, as you do, and I was looking at my pizza, and I realized, I don't think I have ever in my life had a green olive on a pizza. Can you guys think of a time when you had a green olive on a pizza?
Yes.
Yes, describe. Tell me more.
It was one of those kind of artsy hipster places.
Wood fired. They had like an open stove.
Wood fired and stuff. And it was, I want to say it was like a vegetarian one.
Okay. I mean, that's good.
So yeah, rather than black olives, they put on green ones. No pimento.
Were you in California?
Yes.
Okay, because I was looking it up, and apparently there's some sort of low key debate about not using green olives in New York. You can find it in California, but not New York, is what this one blogger was saying.
I feel like New Yorkers are super defensive about pizza, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I've never heard about that before. New Yorkers being passionate about their pizza. It's new. What about you, Tristan? Can you recall a time when you've had a green olive on a za?
No, because I typically try to avoid olives altogether.
In general.
But if an olive exists on my pizza, it has, to my knowledge, always been a black olive.
So what is it about an olive that is avoidable for you? Is it because it's round?
I don't like round things. No, because that gets rid of pepperonis, and I love pepperonis.
And the pizza altogether.
Yeah, the whole
what the problem is.
I go for square pizzas that are cut into squares.
Tristan thinks there's a flat Earth, not because he actually thinks that's true, but because he just doesn't like spherical things.
Don't like circles or spheres. No, I just don't like the flavor of olives. I'm not sure really what it is.
Talking about salt? Are we talking about vinegar? Like, what's the thing?
I think it's all of it.
All of it. Okay. All right. So let me get to my real question. The green black olive thing jumped into my head because of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wanting to know, do you guys know the difference between a green olive and a black olive?
I mean, one's green and one's black.
Yeah, but why?
I've always thought that they were probably a different type of olive.
Okay. Justin, what is your best theory for olive color differentiation?
I kind of think of it of like grapes, how like there are red grapes and white grapes, and olives just sort of do the same thing.
Olives and grapes, why not?
Yeah. I mean, they're both Italian, right?
Does this mean if you have red olive oil, it means they left the skin on, and if you have white olive oil, it's because they took the skin off before they let it ferment?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like grapes.
Just like grapes.
I've never seen a dark olive oil, so this is straight baloney. But
yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen any like different olive oil other than like extra virgin and not extra virgin. Yeah.
The sex life of olives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do any diving into olive oil, So I have no information about why an olive can be virgin or extra virgin.
Yeah. What's going on here?
And why that word?
And also, are they made out of black or green olives?
You're right.
I feel like olive oil is made out of green olives for some reason. I don't know why.
It just feels like when you taste it, it just tastes a
Yeah.
little green. You know, I kind of in Europe where olives are more popular in the Mediterranean there, when an olive like like a banana, when it's yellow, it's like some people love it, and then when it starts getting spots, it goes. I wonder if olives are similar. Like, man, some people are super passionate about the green olives, but man, a black olive is no go.
Do they make good olive bread after they start going black?
Right? Do they put it in the freezer and just make olive bread?
Or olive milk smoothies?
Yeah.
Olive milk smoothie. Yeah. So the banana olive relationship here. I just want to. I don't think I actually formally answered the question. One of the reasons, there's multiple reasons, it turns out. One of the reasons an olive can be black is because it just ripens to a dark color. So all olives start out green and end up dark colored. We think black, but really it's kind of like a purpley, blackish color, depending on the specific variety.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I've eaten black olives. It's like, it's not actually black. It's kind of purple.
Right. Especially if you get the European style.
Yeah.
With a pit in it.
One time I was eating a dish that had olives in it. It was a salad, and nobody warned me that it was the pitted olive, and I almost broke a tooth because I just went right into it.
Right.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
It hurt.
I think for me that's the biggest negative of olives is the possible pit situation. It turns out I don't know what happened, but somewhere around like 35, I could just stand like in the light of the refrigerator at 2 a.m. and just eat a whole jar of olives. That happened to me at some point.
That's gross.
I mean, like, yes, you're not wrong. It is gross, but it is also like one of the joys of being an adult.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like every now and then you'll be walking home from work or something, and you think I could just go buy ice cream right now. There's nothing stopping me.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
If like I can go eat olives out of the fridge.
Yeah.
I'm an adult.
Yeah.
No judgment here.
I mean, we've all eaten a whole pizza by ourselves, right?
Yes. I answered that way too quickly.
I think the obligation when eating a whole pizza by yourself is to get halfway through and think, oh, I'm just going to have one more slice.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 slices later, like, oh, never mind.
You don't think that's the same thing that you had with olives?
Well, I never have thought of, like, when I think of a whole pizza, it's like one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought of a jar of olives as one thing.
It's true.
So there's some sort of disconnect there for me of.
So probably a more related connection would be the time that I ate a whole sleeve of Oreos by myself.
Yes.
Because I was sad because my roommate had moved out.
You ate a whole sleeve of Oreos because you were sad. Aw. So now when you eat Oreos, do you think about your roommate?
Yeah. Every once in a while I'm like, you know what? This Oreo, this one goes out to you.
All right. So I hinted at the fact that there were multiple ways an olive could be black. Do you guys want the juicy details?
Yes.
So I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, really there was just one olive. As far as I was concerned as an 8-year-old, olives came in a particular tin can, and they were the perfect size to slide onto your fingers, and they were always black. Is that your guys' experience as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it just me, or have olives gotten smaller as I've gotten older?
Yeah.
I mean, my pinky doesn't even fit in the olive hole anymore. It's a travesty.
I know. I totally miss being able to put olives on all 5 of my fingers, and now they're just,
Do you remember how good you could like drum the table when you had 5 olives on your fingers?
Oh,
yeah.
Like that was like the right amount of heaviness on the end of your finger to really get a good going. It was the dream. We peaked so early.
Yeah. Those were the days.
It turns out in especially the West Coast, but in the United States, we are all really, really familiar with the California ripe olive style of olives. And so if you go into the store today, you can go to the aisle and you can, if you find California style olives, you can find green ones or black ones. And I kept reading on the internet that they taste the same. It seems insane to me. maybe if I closed my eyes and didn't see what color the olive, but I can't, for the life of me, imagine a green olive tasting like a black olive.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't like olives, but I will gladly sit down with you and do a blind
And try this
taste
out.
test.
I appreciate that. That's very noble of you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so the California style of olives is super side tangent real quick. Did you guys know that iceberg lettuce became like the United States' lettuce because somebody in Northern California wanted to get their lettuce sold to everybody in the United States?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So like this guy figured out a new breed of lettuce, and then they would ship it across the country. It became really tolerant to ice, since iceberg lettuce. And they would ship it across the country with like blocks of ice stacked on top of it.
Uh-huh.
And so literally there would be like a train with an iceberg that arrived, and underneath the iceberg was lettuce, and hence iceberg lettuce.
Whoa.
So
Did he
around that? Go ahead.
Never mind. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear your response because that's a weird thing to learn.
Well, I mean, you said that he discovered this new, like, was he just walking around one day? He's like, oh, look at this lettuce that survived under the snow. Or did he like breed it?
Wait, can you do that voice again, please?
Oh, look at this lettuce that I found under the snow here in Northern California.
Hey, Jimmy, come look at this lettuce.
I bet you if I put it in some ice, it'll survive. Let's call it iceberg.
Yeah, no, he was a part-time radio announcer, part-time lettuce grower.
The whole world will know about my iceberg lettuce, or my name isn't Jimmy Iceberg.
This was back in the 50s, so everyone did sound like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was actually before that, but I didn't actually. Again, this iceberg lettuce is not the topic for the day. So when you say how did you discover it, I'm gonna have to say I don't know.
Okay.
So anyway, similar to that story, I live in San Diego. A random fact I found on Wikipedia while doing this was that the first olive orchard in the United States, or what would become the United States, was in San Diego around the same time that on the East Coast the United States was becoming a thing. So the 1770s, 1790s, they were growing the first olives in San Diego. But anyway, so they moved up the coast to Northern California somewhere around 1898. Frida Ehmann, 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 invented the method. She inherited a small orchard. It wasn't enough to like do the pressing for olive oil, which is basically all they were doing in California was making olive oil. And she wanted to find a way to sell her olives as table olives. And so she worked with scientists out of the University of California, and they came up with this new method, the method for California ripe olives, which we still use all over the place today.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out all olives are basically the same species, right? So all olives we eat come from the same species, which would be like saying all olive are dogs. There are 1,000 different breeds of dogs or cultivars of olives, but the species is the same. So they could crossbreed. You can make new olives anywhere. Most olives you eat are asexually reproduced, i.e. they slice off a branch and stick it on a stump of another olive tree to grow olives.
Okay.
So they have slight varieties, size. There's some that are better for turning into oil, etc. But yeah, so she had these olives and she wanted them to be able to be sold to people. And so she experimented on her back porch with these old barrels. And the method they came up with used lye, which that's like how you get rid of bodies. Put them in lye.
Oh yes, the very specific purpose of lye.
Yeah. So, Frida, I've got some questions for you. Any missing persons in the Orville area in the late 1800s? I have a suspect. She was using lye and then rinsing the lye off so it wouldn't poison people when they ate it to make the olives. But all of the olives she picked were green, which, as I mentioned earlier, it ripens from green to kind of a brownish purple to a dark purple black. So she would pick them green, and then she would do this process with them, and when they come out, they'd be black. So they like artificially ripen to the black stage. Do you guys want to make any guesses as to why?
I mean, if it's lye, it kind of sounds like she's killing the olives and then rotting them out really fast.
They just go emo while they're in. I like it.
It's so metal.
Tristan, I want to see if you have a guess here.
Honestly, I was thinking very similarly to Justin of they're probably just like rotting isn't the right word.
Rotting, but like heading towards rotting, right?
It's aging it quickly.
Yeah. Well, Let me drop a little hint here. The green olives now, the California ripe green olives, use the same process with one step different.
They don't rinse them off.
I'm gonna guess they don't use lye anymore because we're past the 1800s and we're
so
smarter
cool,
than
man.
that.
Yeah. No, they definitely use lye still. And it turns out like a ripe, like an olive straight off the tree is just like really, really bitter and is pretty much unpalatable because it's so bitter. And the lye is one of the ways to like suck the bitterness out of it. The difference is when she was experimenting on her back porch, she used old barrels that had a bunch of cracks and crevices in it, and the lye would get oxygenated. It oxidizes whatever's in the olive, and that's what turns it black. So in modern times, or I guess back then still, but in modern times, they were able to do it without any oxygen exposed to the liquid, to the brine solution. It's actually a solution. They use brine later to the solution, and so the olives would stay green. They wouldn't oxidize mid-process. So if you buy a U.S. olive, if it's black, it means that they blew bubbles into the vat. If you buy a green olive, it means they sealed the vat and they didn't use bubbles.
So now I'm picturing someone with like a straw, just sticking it in some lime, going.
Yeah, that'll never go bad.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Little lye bubbles popping in your face.
The wrong way.
Don't breathe in with the straw in the.
Yeah, so like you kind of hinted at like lye sounds crazy. Why are we doing that? The reason for that is it's the fastest way to quote unquote de-bitter an olive. The traditional ways that like if you get a like a Spanish or an Italian olive, it's a different cultivar, so it's a slightly different shape maybe, or a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, and they use the fermentation style of debitterizing it. So very similar, like whenever humans find a vegetable that they don't want to eat right now, or fruit they don't want to eat right now, they save it for later. They throw it in brine or vinegar or both,
or lye.
Same thing with the olive. Just throw it in some brine or some vinegar and wait a few months, and then it won't be as bitter when you go to eat it.
It'll be fine.
It's fine, guys. It's good. So yeah, there's your answer.
Ah.
I would have never have guessed that they were both the same thing.
Yeah,
they don't
like a green olive and a black olive can come off the same tree at the same time and just go into a different vat. And when it gets to your table, it looks so different. Another way to tell if it's the California style or non-California style is almost all the California style are in a can.
This makes me wonder, like if you get a martini, right?
Yeah,
you've got a green olive. That's got the something
red square,
the red
in it, red cube,
the red thing in it.
It's a pimento.
Pimento, there it is.
Red cube.
Do they pimento black olives?
I don't know.
And what's
I've seen black olives with something in the middle, but it wasn't pimento, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh, interesting. What does pimento even taste like? Man, I'm really showing my I avoid anything olive.
But no, pimento is like a pepper. Like a little...
Is it like a pepper or is it a pepper?
I think it's a pepper.
Okay.
I might be wrong. Somebody needs to look this up, but I'm pretty sure I've seen just pimentos by themselves.
Okay.
No, they're always in olives. All right. Well, looks like we've got a couple things that we want to look up. What's a pimento? And do they stuff... Is it called stuffing? I don't know. Do they put pimentos into black olives, or is that only for green olives, which are all the same type of olive, just one of them had more oxygen than the other?
Yeah.
I'm going to look this up.
All right. Let's do it.
We love making this show, and we love coffee, and we need your help for both. The very best thing you can do to help us out is to tell a friend or two. For those of you who want to go above and beyond, looking at you, Mom, you can support us by donating real cash money, well, electronic money, at buymeacoffee.com/letmelookthatup. We'd like to take a moment to thank you and listeners like Stephen Cook for supporting our show, and J3KO on Apple Podcasts for leaving us a review. He said, "You've made a fan of me. The banter and tangents are great, but I love getting insight into those random questions. Great listen, keep it up." Oh, thank you. We will. So Tristan, do you have some answers for us?
Yeah. So Justin, you had asked or brought up pimentos. You said you weren't really sure what they were. Pimentos are a pepper. I think.
Hey, I got it.
And they have kind of a sweet, low spice kind of flavor. They have a Scoville of somewhere between 100 and 500. So really low, and they're popular for their spice, or not their spice, but their sweetness.
They have almost no spice, but they're popular for their spice.
They're popular for their spice, which is nothing.
Yeah, why give them a Scoville rating at all if it's that low?
Yeah.
It technically has capsaicin in it.
Okay.
So they're like the bell peppers of the olive world.
Well, yeah. The article that I was reading is from The Spruce Eats, actually does talk about how they are similar to the red bell peppers. And
okay.
compared to a jalapeno, they are about 40 times milder than a jalapeno. So
Yeah.
just to give you an idea.
Claim to fame, stuffed in olives, 40 times milder.
Yeah.
That was my band name in high school, 40 times milder. We were kind of like a Jack Johnson tribute band. It was great. We played all the hits.
Also, we were talking about the, as we put it, the sex lives of olives.
Right.
And
What makes an olive oil virgin?
right.
Yeah.
And it's actually the process of how the olive is turned into olive oil.
Okay, tell me more.
So you have 3 stages or 3 types of olive oil. You have extra virgin, virgin, and light. Extra virgin is basically the way that it's pressed and the oil is extracted from the olive doesn't include chemicals or heat or anything in the process. It is a very pure extraction,
Cold press, if you will.
of the oil. Yes.
Yeah.
And so extra virgin olive oil is top shelf olive oil. Then you have virgin olive oil, which is very similar, but it's not quite as high quality as the extra virgin. Like it has a little bit of flaw to the flavor. And then light.
They just use straight lye, right?
It's spelled lye. No, it actually is referring to the color. So extra virgin olive oil is actually a darker. It's more of like a yellow or a brown.
Gotcha.
Where light is that really light color. It also has kind of a neutral flavor where virgin and extra virgin have a very olivey taste. Light olive oil doesn't really have much of a taste to it, and that's because it is processed using heat and the like. So that's
Very
the difference between olive oils.
So I wonder if that means olive oil can never be made out of black olives then, since that's kind of a chemical process.
No, because black olives can be natural. If you just leave it on the tree, you can get a black olive. So I imagine you could.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's 2 ways to get to a black olive. But yeah, that like let me recap what we should have learned today, what we set out to learn today. And that was what's the difference? And there are 2 separate ways to get there. One is to dunk them in lye and oxygen. Yeah. They'll take a green olive and do that, you'll get a black olive. And the other way is to just let it stay on the tree until it starts to turn dark, and then you put it in the freezer and make olive bread out of it later.
Yeah.
So it's
just to be clear, that is a reference to banana bread. That's what we do in our house with the bananas when they start to get spots.
But I mean, olive bread is a thing.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think it involves black olives in the freezer.
Not in the same
At
sense
any
that
point.
we do it.
I'll have to ask my local baker about it.
Okay.
On top of that, we learned a little bit more about what makes olive oil virgin or not, and that pimentos are a very mild pepper.
We also learned a little too much about iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, was it too much? I think it was just enough.
Good.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've wet my palate for iceberg lettuce.
But wait, there's more. The learning doesn't stop just because we have covered today's topic. Listeners have done the real work of looking things up, and we want to share a few with you. This is Listener Lookups. Our listener lookup today comes from our friend Podcast Lover on Twitter. A few episodes ago, Justin, you'll remember we were discussing the Mario Brothers, which led us to talking about twins and a whole bunch of other things. We just want to start off to say that Podcast Lover called us out for our gaming skills because none of us have beat Mario, and they said that our gamer cards have been revoked because apparently you can speed run the first Mario in 10 minutes. So that makes me feel real good about my my Mario playing skills.
I don't think I ever had a NES that could stay on for longer than 10 minutes. So
yeah. It's not our fault.
Yeah, the system's just old.
But they also sent us a really interesting link that's on livescience.com that discussed twins and some of the studies that have been conducted on both identical and fraternal twins. Justin, I think you brought up color preferences and things like that.
That twins shared, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And interestingly, there are a lot of things that these studies have shown and similarities between everything from sexual orientation to the brand of cigarettes that they prefer to use. That is all connected to genes rather than where they were raised or who they were raised by.
Whoa.
Some of those studies revealed that identical twins, even when they were separated at birth, would have similar tendencies to stand the same way.
Still doesn't explain why Luigi gets the short end of the stick.
It's true. The article didn't go into the dynamics between older and younger, quote unquote, twins, but it was really interesting read and kind of discussed and looked at the nature versus nurture of twins.
Yeah.
And so if you want to give that a read, we've actually linked the article in the description if you want to learn more about it yourself. Thanks again to Podcast Lover for sending that our direction. We would love to have you join the discussion too. You can send us a message on social media with the questions that you've got on your mind. Tell us your thoughts about today's topic, or if you just have a random fact that you want to share that you think I should have taking up space in my brain for my next trivia night or high school reunion, like that's going to happen. Well, anyway, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Let Me Look That Up, or on Facebook at Let Me Look That Up Pod.
Again, if you like the show, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. If you enjoy listening to us looking that up, you can support the show at buymeacoffee.com/letmelookthatUp.
You can find all of our links in the description or on the website letmelookthatUp.com.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Let Me Look That Up. I'm Tristan.
I'm your biscuit boy Giovanni.
I'm Justin. I'm Giovanni.